guess we're good to get started. All right, so wow. So, my name is Lucia. Welcome to an intro to computer science at the Trans Academy. So, very quick little bit about me. Um, I'm a software engineer lead software engineer slash architect, depends who you ask, for a respectable tech corporation. I'm self-taught originally. When I was 14 years old, started in the industry at 18. I'm currently 28, so about 10 years in the field at this point. My degree is in computer science. I also have a thesis in cybersecurity and a patent in artificial intelligence. So, mainly the areas I have worked in are large scale software engineering. So, think like multiple millions, if not billions, of users, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and a little bit of native slash embedded dev over the years. My pronouns are she, her. I'm trans femme, or at least that's what I identify as. Um, as to why I got into programming, same reason that I'm sure a lot of people have in the trans community. I got into it because I wanted a space where I could change the world around me because the physical world that I occupied at the time just didn't exactly fit what I wanted, what I needed. Being able to be someone else or change the space around me was a lot more appropriate. Um, yeah. Oh, Apple, if you want to come up.
Oh yeah. Hi everyone. Apple here. I will be teaching the Wednesday lecture, but I will step here for half a bit to introduce myself. So hello everyone. I started programming at around the age of 12. I'm also self-taught, so been programming for about half my life now. My degree is also in computer science, and I've had about 5-ish years of industry experience now. I'm currently working in a non-disclosed big tech company. I've also had a lot of experience with startups, so if that's something that you're interested in, I'm always happy to chat about those as well. My area of focus in computer science is cybersecurity and software engineering, and that's what I'm doing nowadays. So mostly do a lot of uh, design of software engineering in cybersecurity industries. And to be completely honest with you, I got into computer science because I originally wanted to make games. But eventually I fell in love with computer science and how it could change the world around me. And here we are today. Thank you so much. Enjoy the lecture. I'll hand it back to Lucia.
Thank you very much. All right. So, go to the next one real quick. So, I guess, what do these have in common and this class? So, let's see, picture of VR chat, picture of the moon landing, as well as a Google search of, is my Blaha cheating on me with my other plushies? So, so yeah, so what is computer science? So, in a very short explanation, so it is the study of computers and computational systems, specifically how computers utilize and modify data. So, and for much the same reason that I got into computer science originally, one of the benefits of understanding computer science is you're able to create and shape virtual worlds around you, as well as physical worlds. There is a lot of software interaction with the physical spaces we're in, whether or not that be automation, CNC, machinery, etc., or even sensors for bridges and stuff like that. So, by understanding how software works, you shape the virtual world and you can shape the physical world as well. Or both at the same time if you want to have a lot of fun. So, a few goals for this course. So primary goal here is to provide an idea of the basics concepts of computer science, abbreviated as CS here. Will be abbreviated as CS throughout the rest of these lectures to keep things simpler. So the goal is to provide basic concepts, offer a roadmap for further study. Apple and I are both big fans of self-learning and self-improvement, like with regards to industry knowledge and everything. So the goal here is to provide a foundation that you can build off of in the future. Goal here also is to offer some resources. So things like, where would I get started? What type of development tools do we recommend, and the like. As well as some code examples. Though most of our code examples will be during the workshops, not during this one. So we also want to offer interactive sessions, so specifically a back and forth communication. So if anyone has any questions or you're stumped or the like, here's that way myself or Apple or really any of your peers are able to answer. This is not going to offer a comprehensive coverage into computer science. It is a very large, very complex field, and most of what we're going to do is a high-level overview. We're also not going to get into a ton of depth or specifics about any specific area. It's obviously something that welcome to dig into. But yeah. So, because of how influential the computer science industry is, it is very diverse. So because it is present in just about in most industries, most facets of life, there are a lot of different ways to work in it. There are a lot of different technology solutions. And in general, you would be surprised on just how many little areas have a software role in them. There's also equally as many ways to make money because of the flexibility in the field. So, for example, you could go through employment. You could be employed at a company at work your standard 9 to 5, whatever. Or you could be at a startup where the hours will not be 9 to 5, but they will be at least somewhat organized. You could do contracting. I've actually done contracting in the past before. Actually put myself through university doing contracting. Or you can do self-employment, which is you have your own company or your own personal projects. So startups is on here as well. Startups are a very fun way to do things. They're a great way in order to get introduced into the field, as well as learn a lot of different concepts. Typically hours will be a little bit longer, but it's also a good way to learn. Patreon donations is something that a lot of people will do as well, especially if they have a social following and whatnot. So there are a fair number of people who enjoy programming on like YouTube or streaming their everything or streaming their work to Twitch. It's also a great way to get feedback from people on what you're doing well, what you're not doing well, because it's the internet. People will tell you one way or the other if you're doing it right or wrong. All right, so this is just a few specializations in the industry. This list can obviously go much further. To name a few things on here that, like one or two things that aren't on here, there is an entire, there are industry niche segments that use technologies that are not common in other places, such as medical and legal. But at a high level of specializations in computer science, you have web, which is what I've done for many years. You have data science, which is where you get into I have this amount of data, I have this information that was generated as a result of such activity. It could be something like weather patterns, it could be movement of individuals through an amusement park, it could be just about anything you can imagine. So analyzing the data and coming up with actionable information on it. There is cybersecurity, which a lot of fun, where it is both defensive and offensive on figuring out how to properly secure systems as well as how to attack them. Game development, which a lot of people want to get into, and can be a lot of fun. It can be very rewarding. There is also mobile development, which which involves building like mobile applications and whatnot. So for your cell phone, or you could potentially include like tablets and whatnot in that mix as well. There's also artificial intelligence, which currently is all the rage. You also have 3D and VR technologies, as well as operating systems. So, all right. So, any questions so far?
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
What was it that made you want to do the Trans Academy class?
Honestly, so I'm self-taught, right? And I grew up in a very rural, fairly impoverished area. Like 50% poverty rate. I didn't really have a whole lot of resources to explain to me how to get started or where to even begin. Um, so for me personally, it was very, very difficult to get started on programming and everything. So I would like what I am trying to do, or what I want to do, is I want to make it easier for people to get introduced to the topic. Because me personally, I'm genuinely surprised I got introduced to technology at all, considering how rural of an area I grew up. But yeah, my goal is just to help introduce the technology to people, help introduce the concept, and give people an idea on whether or not it's something they would want to spend more time on.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Yeah.
All right. We got any other questions?
I got one.
All right. Go for it.
Are there any negativities, in your opinion, from starting from being self-taught as opposed to having, a more formal education in terms of the industry for
What do you
certain fields?
What do you mean exactly?
Comparably for say if one wants to join a corporation or
Hmm.
get company work or working on,
Hmm.
of course self projects is different, but do you think in
Hmm.
like in professional sense, being self-taught has a negative aspect for being hired at bigger companies once one establishes their own portfolio and stuff?
So this is a fun topic, and it's somewhat of a controversial one because the honest answer is it depends on the person interviewing you, and it depends on the company. If I was interviewing someone, which I've done this before, I don't really care if they have a degree. However, that being said, there are a lot of companies that do care, and there are a lot of individuals that do care. So I personally I have a degree in computer science, but I was already employed in the software industry at the time. I just decided to get it to avoid the potential issues from individuals looking at me like I don't have a degree. It was very beneficial to understand the theoretical aspects, like why things work and whatnot. But with regards to the actual practical application on a lot of it, it was not quite as useful. I would say like I learned more with an actual engineering side of like how to actually build something within easily my first year of like actual engineering work than I did my previous 4 years of like computer science and theoretical studies. That being said, theoretical studies have been really useful for certain areas and certain types of work I've done. So hopefully that answers your question. Yep. All right. I'm going to jump to the next slide. We've got room for some more questions as well towards the end. All right. So for our code examples, we're going to be providing examples in Replit, which is a online IDE or integrated development environment, which for the most part just makes it fairly easy for us to share the code. It's going to ensure everyone's environment is the same, and it will make things fairly easy to work with. Now, if you have other environments or other tooling you're already aware of, or you prefer, I know VS Code is a common one, so is PyCharm, then by all means, you're welcome to use it. This is just the tooling we're recommending. The language we're going to be working in during this is Python because it's fairly applicable. It's very good at teaching theoretical concepts. And in general, it has less obscure nuances and issues that certain other languages have. Focuses more on us actually teaching the theory and how to program in general versus a specific implementation. Yeah. All right. I'm hoping the next slide is the video. So, common program that we tend to implement is what's referred to as a hello world program. It tends to have a just fairly specific like function definition, as well as just outputs a string, or in this case a piece of data slash defined set of input. Code reads from top to down and left to right. This is the video. Okay, here we go. And there you go. So, to break down on this a little bit, let me see if I can pause on this real quick. Cool. All right. So, not going to get too in the weeds on this. The bulk of the intention of this introduction or of this first class is an introduction into what the industry is and the materials on it, like with regards to how we're going to be teaching the class. But with regards to this function, or with regards to this little program, the word print is what we refer to as a function. The data we are passing into it with the little quotes around it is referred to as a string. And once this is run, it's going to output that specific piece of text. So let me hit the play button here. Let me reload this. I'm going to go back slide and go forward a slide and see if that fixes it. It would not be a computer science lesson if there were not a technical issue. All right. So what that should output is it should output hello Apple. Yeah, it should output hello Apple here, and got the explanation on the next slide. So we have 3 examples here with calling the print function with various inputs. First one's going to return hello Apple here. Next one's going to print I'm going to scream, and the last one's going to print ah. I'm going to go back on this. Are there any questions on this?
Oh yeah, I have one. Why does it have like the pound symbol before everything?
That's a great question. So in this case, what that is a comment, a code comment. So if you want, yeah, so if you want in your code, if you want to make a note on what it does without actually the computer interpreting it as something to actually perform, you would prefix it with typically a symbol or multiple symbols. So in the case of Python, that is a little pound symbol. Is that, yeah, little symbol there. In the case of other languages, it might be 2 slashes. So, which is also fairly customary on that one. So that would be what that's for. In our case, showing this here, it's more to show as an example of what it does. So the comment in this case being the output of what it will be. Okay. That's a good question, though. Are there any other questions on this? All right, I'm going to go to the next slide. So we also have an additional, well, we can also do things like addition and subtraction, for example. So typically what this involves is this would involve something like what's referred to as a variable, which is it's what we use in order to identify that this value will equal this. So think like, for example, from algebra, x equals 4, right? Very similar thought process. Also, there are mathematical operations like plus and minus. So to show an example of this is a quick little addition program. I just realized that's very difficult to read. I'm going to skip ahead on this because I believe the next slide actually shows what the code's supposed to be. I apologize for that. So first example, we're assigning value to equal two values, right? So 3 plus 4, the end result's going to be 7. So if we print out the value, we're going to get 7. For the next one, example of a substitution, value equals 4 minus 3, we're going to print a value of 1. We can also do things like multiplication and division. So in case of multiplication, we're doing 3 times 4 equals 12. And for value, we're doing 4 divided by 4, which will end up equaling 1. This is very similar to, in fact, almost identical to how algebra and whatnot would be from school. All right. Are there any questions on this part? Go for it.
For the last one, why does it say 1.0 instead of 1?
That's a great question. And so the full explanation on this is whenever you do so I'm not going to get too in the weeds on this during this class, but what it does is if you do division operations, you'll end up with typically you would expect to end up with a whole number, right? Well, it is also possible you can end up with something that is not a whole number. So let's say, for example, this was 4 divided by 8, right? If this was 4 divided by 8, I would end up getting 0.5. So we're showing this returning 1.0 in this case because that's what the system's going to return to us on this. The concept specifically is an integer or a float. So int being a whole number, float being not a whole number. I hope that helps a little bit. I can explain more if you'd like. Okay, cool. Awesome. Good question. Does anyone else have any questions on this?
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
What do we do about order of operations?
What do we do about order of operations? What exactly do you mean? Do you mean by how it's interpreted, or?
Yeah, does Python follow order of operations?
That is a great question, Apple, and I actually have not checked the documentation on that in a number of years. If memory serves, the answer is it does. However, if I'm incorrect, please someone feel free to correct me on it, and I'm going to have to clarify after this chat. I mean, after this class.
I'm pretty sure it does.
Yeah, that's pretty sure as well, but I just haven't, I'm not 100%.
Thanks.
Yep, anytime. All right. So currently we have it set up for workshops are every Saturday. And what we ask is share your code and ask any questions you want within the Discord channel. This went a little bit faster than I expected. So let me verify there's not any more slides on this. Nope, that is the last slide. All right. So I guess we got a bit for questions. If anyone has any questions on anything we've covered previously. Apple, if you want to come up here as well.
Got a question in the audience here? Go for it.
Yeah.
The question is, how are the workshops going to work? Lucia, you want to take this?
Absolutely. So the workshops are, I just realized I need to turn on my chat bubbles because I just realized I was hidden. So if anyone was asking questions earlier, with the chat bubble, I genuinely apologize. So the workshops are going to be taught collaboratively by Apple and I both. So they're an open Discord call. Anyone's welcome to join. We'll be going through, sharing some code, going more into detail about the actual application of this. This lesson aspect here is more about teaching the fundamentals of it and everything. The workshop will be more about teaching the application of exactly how you would apply what we've covered. So basically be you and I both going through and answering any questions and doing some code examples.
Yeah, and the main reason
problem.
this is set up this way is because coding in VR is notoriously difficult, and we wouldn't want anybody to start typing in VR.
You can do it. I've done it before. I don't recommend it.
You are welcome to try. We will not stop you. Ooh, got another
Yes.
question over there.
Clarification on lecture dates, because the previous slide said that the lectures were on Saturdays. Are they on Saturdays?
What did we end up posting in the Trans Academy? Just to make sure that everything is clarified.
In the Discord, it says it's on March 1st, which is Friday.
Yes, that should be the correct time.
That should be the correct one, yes.
Just want to make sure. But
Yeah, I would say go off Discord.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're in a different time zone, it might say it is
Time zone, yeah.
Saturday instead.
Yeah.
The Discord events will have to correct for a given time zone. So go off of that.
Yep. While people think about other questions, there's something I would like to talk to everyone about. But first, Lucia, any advice you have for people who are starting off in computer science and they're not sure if they enjoy it or not, or they're not sure how far they're going to take with it?
That is a great question. Personally, I would just recommend sit down, try to write a project, try to build something that you want or that you're passionate about, and see where it goes. The best way you're going to find out on whether or not you like it is by trying to do it. Coding can be very boring to a lot of people. I don't find it very boring. Clearly, you don't. But you don't know unless you try. As to where you might end up with it, it's hard to say.
Yeah, just to add on to that point, it really comes down to the person, right? At the end of the day, computer science and coding is just another tool for you to create something. And if you have an idea that you really want to realize in the world, computer science is another tool that will allow you to do that. Whether it be a game you always wanted to do, an app you wish that existed, a VR chat world or a VR chat game that you wanted to play with friends but doesn't exist. You know, computer science is a very powerful tool for you to achieve those things. And yeah, this comes down to, for different people to actually try it out yourself.
Yep. I see we got some questions.
I have a question.
Over there. Go for it.
Yes.
So, like, have you guys taught this before?
This is our first time teaching this specific course. I've taught in computer science. I actually taught some cybersecurity courses a number of years ago, but this is our first time teaching this specific course for the Trans Academy.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yep.
first time for me teaching in VR, but I have taught computer science classes before in real life. So this is a very interesting experience for me.
Absolutely. Sender.
Real quick, are there any recommended websites for outside teaching, between classes and stuff like that? So like I know there's Code Academy or EDX and things like that. Do you recommend any of those, particularly for learning, specific languages if one wants to, have the free time? Is there any?
Is there any good?
Uh,
Go for it. You were starting. Go for it.
Sorry, I'll take this one. So there are a ton, and to be completely honest with you, I can sit here and talk to you about all the resources out there all day. From books to free resources online to different classes to literal Stanford lectures, etc., etc. What we're going to try to do is within the Discord server, we're going to have a resources section where these things will be compiled every single week so that everyone have like a overall collected list of all the resources that we would recommend. There are tons and tons and tons of resources out there for you to do learn all sorts of topics in computer science as well as all sorts of languages. If you're interested in anything particular that you're not seeing within the resources section, feel free to ask us about it in the Discord.
Yep, nail it on the head.
I
Hope
have
that answers
another
your
question.
question.
Sorry. So, I so like, are we teach? Is this gonna teach anything else besides Python?
So Python is the only language we're going to be teaching during this. That is correct.
Okay.
Our goal is more to teach fundamentals of how to program than it is necessarily to teach a specific language.
I see.
Yep.
Yeah, short answer, there will be more than Python. At the end of the day, we're hoping to provide you enough of a lens into computer science basics so that you can apply it to almost any language you want to learn in the future.
Correct, yeah. Because a language is just, at the end of the day, it's just a dialect. Once you've worked in a few of them, you can pick up new ones relatively easily. Assuming you understand the concepts on how they all work.
Oh, I think we got another question over here.
We
Does
got a
that answer
few.
your
I see
question?
Violet jumping up and down. Oh,
wondering, like, will this class be like autism friendly? Will like it cover terms that are not so complicated? Will like, if I know coding can be like complicated, but will it still be easy to understand in some capacity?
So our goal is starting from, no prerequisite knowledge, right? So the intention is for it to be relatively accessible.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also autistic, so yeah, I know the feeling. You want to take the next one?
Yeah, over here. What is your background in computer science and what does this course offer? Yeah, so the TLDR is this course will cover the basics, right? We understand that it is going to be very difficult for us to cover anything in real deep depth given the amount of time that we currently have. So we're going to provide you the basics. We're going to provide you a roadmap so that and resources so that you can learn more if you wanted to. And as for background, for me, I've been programming half my life. My degree in college is also in computer science, and I've been working in the industry for about 5-ish years now. And
Yep.
Lucia has a crazy long
Very,
list.
yeah. I've been programming half my life. Likewise, been in the industry about 10 years. Patents and a thesis, and yeah, done a few things. Yeah, my areas primarily that I've worked in are large-scale software systems and artificial intelligence. Anytime.
Thanks for the question. Anyone else? Oh, and I do remember there was a follow-up here. Oh, sorry. I think I interrupted somebody. Go for it.
I have a question for one of the previous chapters. Did you have to put IM division or IM addition, or can you put addition or division?
Which slide was that?
Good question.
That one.
Was it this one?
Yes. Do you have to put IM addition or IM subtraction, or do you have to put? Or
Oh, no, you don't. Yeah, that is, yeah, so that little symbol in front, the pound symbol, that is yep, thank you, Apple. That is to designate a code comment. So what that does is if we have that symbol there, then it's just note to us to be able to read it in the future. The machine doesn't, well, the computer doesn't do anything with that information.
Okay.
Yep.
I just wanted to confirm.
Yep, absolutely. It's a good question. I saw a question over here as well. It's like a text box pop up.
Thought so as well. Was it? Oh yeah, was it Tokyo?
I also see.
Oh yes, I did see that.
Thank you very much.
Order of
Yep.
operations is kept within Python.
Yep.
Python follows all the normal mathematical rules for order of operations. So, for example, parentheses, division, multiplication comes before addition, etc. If you're interested, the replit links and everything will be posted during the workshops, so you're free to come in and try it out yourself. See what happens when you mess around with the numbers.
To be fair, most languages follow order of operation, but not all of them, so, worth the check if you're working on one.
Yes. Oh, yeah,
I have a
question over here?
about Replit. Do we have to make an account before we can code on there?
I think you didn't used to, but they changed it recently so that you do now. I
Okay.
believe you
cool.
do have to make an account, but you can log in with Google or some other
Yeah,
services that they offer.
it's a G. Yeah, you can use Google login and it'll create a new account in one click.
Cool.
It's a little
Thanks.
bit annoying, but not that bad. Yep. I see we got some questions over here. Ari Dub?
So mine's slightly a two-part question. I came in late, and I want to make sure I can at least get the slides, either at the end of this or here in a moment. Is there a way you could like quickly go through the slides just so I can catch them, a photo for my notes? And the second part, at the end of this, because it's a 6-week course, correct?
8.
Yep.
8.
Thought we were at 8. Yep.
At the end of that, will this be? Is this technically a? I'm trying to think of the right word. Kind of like certificate, kind of like official course, or I don't know the right kind of word for it. I know it wouldn't be like a degree or anything because that's college, but like
Entry.
Yeah, I know. I know what you
I've
mean.
heard
Yeah,
degree but once.
yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean on that. Yeah, so it would not provide a certification at the end.
Okay, yeah, that's the
To
word.
be fair, neither would a code boot camp. To be fair, I mean, the cert you get from there wouldn't be worth much in general. But I don't think we want to get into the rabbit hole of code boot camps and that whole scenario, so I guess let's not do that. But yeah, there's a lot of certifications you can get in this industry, and not all of them have equal value. Some of them don't really have anything. But yeah, for this one, the goal is, basically teaching the concepts and everything on it. With regards to the slides, I don't want to speak for you, but are you good with us just dropping a copy of them into the chat?
Yes. Slides and additional resources will be posted before the workshops.
Okay, cool. So it'll just be in the regular discussion in the Discord. The
Yes,
classes
there should be a
discussion. Okay.
section in the same section as the announcement.
Okay. I'll look for that here in a moment. Thank you.
Yep.
Oh yeah, not really a question, but a comment. If it's funny because how I found you guys was through Azil's video. So yeah, that's pretty cool that you guys are doing this.
Very glad you're here. Hope
Well,
you
thank you.
enjoy and
Glad
learn
you're
a
here.
lot. Question V?
I have two questions from the Discord. A quick one, which is, will example code be provided after lessons? I assume that will be in the resources section with all the other.
Yes, that will. In fact, all
Yes.
the examples we show, we have like a Replit link and everything we'll send out.
Cool. And then a direct question in terms of your work experience. What programming languages do you use most often?
What company and what day? Apple, you want to go first?
Sure. I've had experiences with a lot of different programming languages over the years, but I would say my last couple of years boils down to C++, C, Rust, Go, and occasionally assembly.
For me,
Very
I guess if I
lower
were,
level stuff.
yeah, I guess for me, if I were to break down the last few years, Golang, is one of them. JavaScript, for better or worse. Python, and I've done a bit of C as well. I'd like to do more C, but I've done a bit of C. Yeah. I see we have a question over here.
The question is, during the course, will you learn to open/read files such as XML? So you're thinking about a file operation that is available in Python. I don't believe we will cover specifically XML, but we will be covering inputs overall. If you're interested specifically in XML, then we can provide more resources. Just ask for it within the Discord chat. But that will not be a specific topic that we'll cover. Yeah. For the people who are curious and a little more studious, we do have the entire course syllabus within Discord as well. So you can go through, check it out, see which weeks are covering what, and see which ones you're more interested in. See, there's another question I saw within the Twitch chat. Do you want to try this one, Lucia? So,
Yeah, go for it.
UPVR asks, is computer science something you can force yourself to, like, quote unquote, for the money if you end up hating it? Ooh.
This is how do I say this? One, I would never recommend doing something that you hate for the money, because the people who are the best at what they do do it because they love it. So, I guess, like, for me personally, like, I program a ton in my spare time. I do cybersecurity stuff in my spare time. I'm always working on a project. I find that fun, and that's part of how I've been able to get where I am. If you hate it, well, I don't think you would be willing to do that for very long. Apple, what do you think?
The short answer is yes, because I have seen people who do it even though they don't like it too much. I think this question kind of comes down with any job, not just computer science. If you're doing something that you don't like for money, no matter what it is, you'll find it very difficult to have motivation to continuously do it day after day. And that's true for any job.
Yeah, that's true. I've met people, and this is true. I've met people as well who, force themselves to do it for the money. They don't tend to be very happy with their lives, but I've met those who have. They don't usually stay in the industry that long, though.
All right. Any other questions? I think I see something one more here.
Yeah, we got one over here.
Yeah. This might be a complicated question, something maybe not suited for this forum. But due to the recent, or due to the, I think, previous year or the year before that, like, mass exodus due to AI, do you think coding is going to be relevant in the next 10 years and things like that? Or is it, with AI replacing things and stuff like that?
Do you want to answer this, or do you want me to?
Ooh, the spicy questions. No, I love these. I love these. I'll give my take. So, at the end of the day, AI is a tool. And as, major technologies come through, the way we live our lives will change no matter what happens. In my opinion, for the CS industry, you'll definitely see a shift due to AI in the next 10 years. While I don't think programmers will be entirely replaced, I think to some extent, the process of programming is very likely to change in the next 10 years. One thing that you'll notice even today a lot of programmers are now using AI assistants to help them plan out tasks or fix simple bugs or problems within their code. And that is a very perfectly valid reason to use it. And you'll definitely see more and more of that in the future. I cannot tell you whether or not there will still be programmers in the next 10 years, but as long as there are still humans using the machine, someone will break something and we'll need another human to come and fix it.
Yeah.
Hope that was able to answer your question.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Yep.
Another question over here.
Another
Yes.
language-related question from the Discord. What is your favorite programming language and why?
Either Elixir or Erlang, and I'm not teaching that here.
Well, I am a fan of esoteric languages, but a
Functional.
yeah. But a language that I personally have a love for the recent years is definitely Rust. And the simple thing is, Rust offers a lot of lower level computation while still being very fast and human, programmable without too many mistakes. I'm not gonna go too deep into that because that's beyond what's covered in the course here. But yeah.
I have a question. So, is Python used in Unity projects, or is it a different language?
I can answer that if you want. Are you looking at me? I take so. No, not typically in Unity directly. You could use it potentially if you were building like a tool or something that integrated with it.
Yeah.
Like, for example, say like something to like catch like a crash log or like, maybe help you move around some files and everything, but it's not going to directly interact with your Unity project. Unity's more C# with memory serves.
What I've seen is like people making OSC programs entirely in Python.
I think that might be
Yeah.
possible, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, at least in the context of this class, the knowledge that we'll teach you will be able to be applied to any programming language.
Oh yeah.
And that goes through the same thing for Unity as well.
Well, I'll admit when I'm wrong, and I should have done a Google search for saying that. Yeah, there's literally plugins for it. So ignore everything I just said. Apologies on that one.
Oh, I see some jumping over here.
This is
Violet,
like
go.
be quite a hard question to actually ask, but I like work with I do like an equine behavior and welfare course and do a bit of equine training there. Do you think like programming can be used to help train like animals, or do you think it can be used to like predict behavior or predict outcomes, or do you think that's like way out of like programming?
Ooh. All right. Lucia, you mind if I take this one?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. There are a couple of problems in the world that programming is especially good at. And the first thing is patterns, pattern recognition, and repetition. Anytime you need to do something many number of times, such as training something, like for example, helping with animals, programming can help you automate that. And not to get too deep, but machine learning can help you with pattern recognition. just like how, machine learning and pattern recognition is used pretty much in everything that we do today, from typing with your voice to swiping on your keyboard, programming can cover these topics no problem.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? See someone typing. No, don't everybody look at him. No, everyone look away.
No pressure.
What is a project that you are proud of completing? Lucia, you go for it.
Oh wow. What is a project I'm proud of completing? That is. Well, I can't list the commercial ones. I dox myself. One of the ones that I'm very proud of completing that I did in my spare time is I actually wrote my own home automation platform. So I actually wrote the code to go through and control the lights, control the sensors, and connect everything together, as well as write the actual automations for it. It was a lot of fun. Took me about a year to build, but very satisfying to see it work.
Oh my gosh, that's what I want to do. Like, basically, it's so cool.
Home automation is great. Heavily recommend.
Oh yeah, great for personal projects.
I think one more question over here. Oh, maybe you should take this one, Lucia. The question is, what operating system do you personally use?
Okay, so for work, I use a Mac. For my personal system, I use Linux. Specifically, I use Arch Linux. I also maintain a couple AUR packages, so a couple unofficial packages on there, and help write some of the documentation. However, for the purposes of VR, because I like my stuff to actually work, I'm currently in Windows, so I have a dual boot setup. Yes, I know you can run VR chat on Linux. No, I don't want to fight with it.
I think we're almost out of time here. Maybe time for one more?
Yeah, I think we got time for one more.
Right. And we are at 4. Oh, one more question? Yes, go for it.
So, would you say that going from a high level language to a low level language is a lengthy process?
What can you elaborate what you mean by lengthy process? You mean by like the learning time or
Yeah, like, is it a big adaptation to go, say, from something like Python to Rust?
So in my opinion, there's always another rabbit hole to jump down on. Computers are very complex at its core, and you can go all the way down to the physical transistors for any concept. Moving from a very high level language down to a very low level language usually means you are getting closer to the hardware. And when you get closer to the hardware, you will have a very particular purpose of doing so. For example, you're interacting with microcontrollers on full body tracking or something else. In those cases, you will learn very domain specific knowledge that is meant for those lower level languages. And depending on what you're doing, it may be a bit of an endeavor to move from these very high level abstracted programming languages such as Python all the way down to, let's say, C. However, I think my best advice here for you, if you are attempting to do that, is to trust the abstraction. Know that you don't need to understand every little bit of how something works in order to begin using it immediately. But obviously, the option is there. Hope that answers your question. I know it's not a direct answer.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. No more burning questions. Should we wrap up, Lucia?
Yeah, I think we're good to wrap up. Well, I guess have a good one, everyone.
Yeah, thank you everyone so much. Do keep in mind that this class has 3 courses. So we have 2 lectures, one today. There will be another one in 2 days. And there will be a workshop where we will actually program in 2 more days after that. All the exact times will be in Discord. Keep an eye out in the announcements channel, etc. We also have a general chat called Intro to CS General. If you want to chat to us about anything or just chat to your fellow students, feel free to do it there. Okay, thank you all so much. I'll be back in 2 days on Wednesday. The lecture will cover the same thing, but it will just be a different time zone. Thank you, everyone.
Big round of applause to our instructors. Woo!